You can never be a good leader if you are not a good manager. See, manager's job is operational.
Right.
Getting the job done. Leader's job is inspirational. But individually taking ownership is very different.
Right.
But taking ownership in spite of not having direct control and execution is very different.
Right. Hello guys, and welcome back to another stunning episode of In Search of Success, the podcast where we discuss, dissect and deconstruct various aspects of leadership so that we can share with you the tools and the techniques, the strategies and the tactics and the formulas and the frameworks you need to bring your ideas to life, to turn your dreams into reality and to achieve anything you set your mind to. Season 1 of the podcast is focused on leadership. Our guest today is Flight Lieutenant Sridhar Chakravarthi. Now, Sridhar has served in the Indian Air Force in technical positions, after which he has spent more than 2 decades of time in the corporate world. Right now, Sridhar works as an advisor and a coach to individuals and organizations, teaching them agility and how to sustain performance, sustainable performance. And apart from being a coach and a consultant and a mentor, Sridhar is also a speaker, public speaker, and is an author. Sridhar is also a research scholar at XIM University, Bhubaneswar, where he's dedicated in studying and finding out ways to make startups successful. So go ahead, enjoy the episode, which I have thoroughly enjoyed. This discussion for me was mind-boggling. So I hope you will learn a ton from this, and this will enable your journey as a leader, and it will empower you to create the workplaces of the future. So go ahead and enjoy the episode. I'll see you at the end of the episode. Hi, Sridhar. Welcome to the podcast, In Search of Success. I'm excited to have you on the podcast. So how are you feeling today?
Oh, feeling fantastic as usual.
So are we ready to discuss some leadership lessons from the armed forces?
Sure, let's go ahead.
So my first question is, it has been discussed a lot on the internet, right? And there are so many different speakers talking on the topic as well. But the example is, in armed forces, the camaraderie, the bonding is so strong, the trust is so strong that people are ready to go in front of a bullet, to save their peers, right?
Right.
So, and as Simon Sinek also mentions, the trust is so high on the fact that I'm doing this because I know that if he's in my place, he'll do the same thing, right?
Correct.
So that's like unbelievable level of trust. Now, that's there in all branches of armed forces, and I believe across the world, not only India, across the world. My question is, how do you develop that level of trust as a leader in my corporate setup? What will be those 1 thing, 2 thing, 3 strategies that I can implement, or 5 strategies that will make me, empower me to create that kind of trust in my teams, among my employees? What should I do as a leader? Give me some advice.
Okay, that's a tough one to crack. But at the same time, I will share what I have felt. See, one of the most powerful glues that hold any army or any armed forces unit together is that absolute clarity of mission.
Mm-hmm.
There is no confusion in their mind. The moment you are there in the unit, you and all your colleagues know why you are there. And what you are expected to do in the eventuality, whenever anything happens, and the consequences as well.
Okay.
This level of clarity does not exist in other organizations, any normal organizations.
Right.
There are very few organizations who have this kind of absolute clarity in terms of what they are supposed to do. When you find that kind of a group, or when kind of a team, let me say, group of people, when they come together with that level of clarity, they automatically become a team.
Wow. So you said about clarity around what needs to be done.
Clarity around if things go wrong, what needs to be done in that scenario. All kinds of clarity you're talking about.
And the consequences which I have to face.
Right.
And the beauty is, I am willing to face those consequences. That's why I put on the uniform.
Right.
It's not an afterthought.
Right.
It is before taking the decision to wear the uniform, I know that there could be a bullet for me.
Right. So if lack of clarity is the problem, how do we create that lack of clarity while bringing the groups together, before making them a team? As a corporate leader, what should I do to create that level of clarity? Because as they say, I believe it's true for armed forces as well, but in corporate world, as they say, things are changing every minute. Every day you have a new technology, every day you have a new platform. Things are changing so fast. Customers' requirements are changing on the fly.
Correct.
So many things are changing. So how, as a corporate leader, what kind of practice I should put in place to improve the level of clarity to a level where that group can come together around that mission and become a team? What should I do?
The biggest challenge is it has become more rhetorical, or rather abused concept, the vision and mission.
Right. Okay.
Unfortunately, but very few organizations or people realize the power of these two words.
Mm-hmm.
The level of clarity I am talking about in armed forces comes out of those two. That's it. I am absolutely clear about my mission. Why am I there?
So even if I have doubts about how do we execute or the plan of execution, there is no doubt on mission and vision.
Absolutely. The execution, you got it very correctly. That's what changes. You mentioned a lot of changes happening.
Right.
But that changes are happening about what? Execution.
Right.
They don't change your vision or mission.
Right.
The reason for being there cannot be confused, cannot be compromised. Correct?
Right.
That's it. But show me one organization who has that level of clarity.
Very few. I would agree, very few.
That is the challenge. And that is the first part of it. Now the second part, okay, you have, let us say, that level of clarity.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to reinforce and bring that into the day-to-day execution?
Right.
Whatever I am doing.
Right.
Do I have total clarity in terms of why I am doing this particular task?
Right.
Second important aspect there is, in the armed forces, this vision and mission are larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
They are at an idea stage.
Right.
They are not at a materialistic stage.
Right.
I am talking about keeping my country free.
Right.
Okay, which is much, much beyond
Me.
me. Correct? The second thing is, that is when it becomes inspiring.
Right.
And that is when other people look at you and respect you. Oh, this guy is doing something fantastic.
Right. Right.
So it feeds on itself.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense when I look at it that way.
Now, just to take a step back, leave the armed forces out. Which other profession gains this kind of an automatic respect, according to you?
I believe doctors.
Absolutely correct. Spot on. Why? Because their mission is beyond themselves.
Yeah, saving lives. Okay. Yes, beyond themselves.
They are beyond themselves.
Yes.
You can talk to a business leader and say, why are you getting into business, or an entrepreneur? You say, yeah, essentially to make money.
Yeah.
Or to satisfy shareholders or whatever, investors, blah, 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 to meet some customer demands. But customer demand is a consequence for them. or a way to achieve certain goals. That is not the reason for being.
So customer demand or customer satisfaction it is actually the means to the goal. It's not the end goal, basically.
Absolutely correct.
Okay. So would it help if, as an entrepreneur, I do that when I begin my journey as an entrepreneur, let's say, I make the customer's demand or customer satisfaction my end goal, and the means can be something that we can keep working on, it can keep evolving. Do you think things will change?
Think about it.
I think so.
Exactly. But the question is, every corporate brochure will say that.
Right. That's true.
There is no confusion about
Right.
the written word.
Right.
Correct. Customer satisfaction is our sole objective. There is no that continue. The words continue. But the challenge is, apart from the CEO and the head of marketing,
Mm-hmm.
how many of the other top management believes in that? And how many of the middle managers believe in that? And the front foot soldiers believe in that?
Right. Interesting question. If I have to, interject my experience, I don't think they even half of the employees most of the time don't even know what the mission vision of the company is.
That's it. And if you look at the written mission and vision, that's much more confusing.
Most of the time, yes.
Correct. You hardly find any difference between the vision of the Fortune 500 companies. Forget
Right.
about anybody else.
Right.
I mean, being number one or being number two by meeting the demands of my customers and my shareholders, by doing ethical business, and I'm being responsible, environmentally responsible. What is that? Is it really bloody inspiring anybody, including the fellow who wrote it?
Right. I don't think so. Okay. Can we take an example of a mission statement or vision statement, and can we rework around it to just see if that will, I want to understand how can we change it. I understand the problem now. How do you fix it?
Okay. Let us say there is a let us say there is a pharma company.
Okay.
What is their mission? What can be their mission? To save lives? No, that's too confusing.
Okay.
That's not giving me focus.
Okay.
So let us slightly bring it down.
Okay.
To save whose lives? Because I'm not an Amazon.
Right.
Anything for anybody type kind of a situation.
Right.
I need to have that focus.
Right.
So what drug am I making? Is it for heart patients, cardiovascular diseases, or is it for some specific ailment like orthopedic?
Let's say diabetes. We are focused on diabetes. Let's say.
Right. That's it. So what is my mission? To help diabetic patients to have a better quality of life, or even eliminate diabetic, whatever that.
Right. Right.
Essentially, that's my target population where I'm focusing.
Okay.
What should be my vision?
Diabetes free. Yeah.
Absolutely. Spot on.
Yeah. Diabetes free India or something like that.
Diabetes free India.
Right.
Now, it may sound self-contradicting. I am making medicines for diabetes, but if I eliminate diabetes, what happens to my business?
Business goes down. It's eliminated by.
But the beauty is, you are able to help so many people, and since the nature of the disease is that it can keep happening due to genetics or bad lifestyle or whatever.
Right.
It is not going to be eliminated completely. But what you're going to do is you're going to reduce the span of recovery.
Right.
From decades to probably months.
Okay.
Every employee who walks into that company now, what is he connected to?
He's supposed to be connected to that mission and vision and the patients, basically.
Exactly. See, it is the best thing to identify this is to ask anybody, what do you do?
Mhm. That's a normal question we ask anybody we meet.
Now, you can ask me, for example, if you ask me, I can say, I'm a business consultant.
Okay.
Or I can also say, I can help and I help entrepreneurs succeed.
Okay.
Or I can also say, I help managers to become leaders.
Mhm.
That is my reason
Right.
for doing whatever I do.
Right. So you are including your, so basically when the question is what do you do, you're basically talking about the mission you are dedicated to.
That's it.
Right.
That is the why.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Getting the-
You're mentioning your why is specific.
That's it. That is the why. That
Right.
is the mission.
Right.
Correct. And referring to the golden circle of Simon Sinek, life starts with why.
Why? Exactly.
Correct.
It's around, I mean, it circulates around why till the day we are here, I think.
But unfortunately, how many of us know our why?
So that's a pretty interesting lesson for business owners, I think, business owners and leaders as well. So one more thing, I mean, just coming to my mind when you mentioned this. So let's say I have an established business, I have an established organization where the first few years since I am involved, or my team of founders, we are involved in the day-to-days and we are talking to the employees. They said till the time we are 2,000 or 3,000 employees, we are daily involved in things. That mission and vision, which I started my business with, started my entrepreneurial journey with, that is communicated, it's discussed, it's questioned, it's there to be heard, so people know about it, or we have communicated in town halls or whatever, right? Or it's a part of my email signature. Initially, people are pretty focused on things, right? But as we grow, or as the company grew or the business grew, now there are like 10,000 people and we are, across 25 different countries. How do we communicate that mission and vision with that much clarity to all the employee base? If I'm a leader, I might ask that question when you're explaining these things to me. Just popped up in my head, so I thought I'll, ask the question.
It's a very well-known formula.
Okay.
Actions speak louder than words.
Okay. So live by your company values.
Problem is, it has become a more of a communication exercise handed off to the corporate communication department,
right,
who keep on sending emails or keeping up posters, but people don't see that being acted upon.
Right. So you are saying from being the thing that we discussed and we lived as the beginners, as the founders, now at this stage it has become the part of the communications director or communication department's job to just...
And it's not that communication department's job is not there. It is there. It is required. But what is being communicated? It is a statement which is being communicated. It is the actions which have been taken supporting that statement.
Right.
How many war stories do we have to discuss? How many success stories are we creating and generating to be communicated?
Right.
Yeah, we have closed a deal with such a big company.
Right.
It's a marketing win or it's a sales win that gets communicated. Right. I am solving so many problems for so many customers.
Right.
Where is that getting communicated?
This is interesting because I think in one of my interviews on the topic, one of my guests mentioned the exact same thing. Okay, when let's say I have written a piece of code for an app or some kind of service or some kind of product, that is being used to save somebody's life in a hospital scenario, or in some customer is using it somewhere, right? And they have given a feedback to my sales director, hey, we are using a product and this is just amazing, it saved so many lives, or they did this, did that. That part that gets communicated to your CEOs, customers meet happen and your CXOs were attending, they received this. That has to be communicated back to the teams who are involved in these things.
Correct.
That if starts happening, the engagement level, the ownership of the employees on the what do you call the shop floor in manufacturing language, the shop floor, that will increase a
Correct.
lot. So that's what precisely sounds like you're also saying.
See, I was listening to one of my ex-CEOs talk,
Okay.
and that's the first time, in fact, I realized the impact that that company was creating. Because all of us knew that we work with about 50 odd customers.
Right.
Right? We never realized that our solutions were impacting 500,000 people.
Right.
Now, where is that coming through? Where is that story?
Right.
So I was challenging the middle managers. Do you know your impact?
Right. That's the problem.
It's not about account A, account B, boss. You guys are supporting 500,000 people.
Right.
Now, that is a bloody huge reason to wake up on a Monday morning.
But then companies are not focused on those stories. Companies are talking about leadership, talking about numbers, quarterly results. They're not talking about stories.
That's what I told you. Customer is a consequence or a means for the different end. Customer is not the end. That's not the reason for being in the business. And the only, I think, in one of these erstwhile Bank of Karnataka or one of these places, they used to put this poster of Mahatma Gandhi's statement that customer is the reason for us to be here, for us being. He is the key. He is the one who is keeping us in business.
Right.
Correct. We are here to serve him, and he has many options. How many institutions really realize that?
I think there was one company. There was one company where I was an employee, and the statement written there was customer is always right. I kind of didn't identify with that. The customer can always be right. So there was a little bit of discussion and, a difference of opinion, let's say.
Correct.
But customer always being right is a different statement, but customer being the centerpiece of any business, that is always true, right? We are in business of solving the customer's problem. That is true for all companies, all geographies, all domains. I think that's true.
Correct.
Right.
Now, coming to the customer is always right. Is it a guaranteed outcome if some wife or mom, somebody, a lady cooks some food, that entire household really likes it?
No, I don't think so.
Particularly focus on the kids.
Right.
Okay. They have their own taste.
Right.
So what does the lady do? Or whoever is cooking the food, they do that customization.
Right.
It's the same dal, but one will be with jada tadka, one will be with, without salt, one will be with something else. Why?
So that each of the customers
do we do
are
that?
happy, I guess.
No. Then? It's not about keeping them happy. It is about connecting and understanding and constantly responding to their changing needs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
See, I have spent enough time in IT industry.
Okay.
Everybody cries about only one thing. As you correctly said, customer cannot be always right.
Okay.
His needs are always changing. How can I meet a constantly changing need? Welcome to the party. Needs are always changing because business is always changing.
Right.
Life is changing.
All aspects of life.
Don't expect me to run my business in the same way after 6 months.
Right.
Because my customer has already moved on.
Right. Awesome. No, in fact,
if I don't follow that, I am out of the business.
Right.
Now, who is going to help me follow my customer? You as my service provider.
Right.
So you don't come and give me gyan that I should not change my requirement.
Right. True. Absolutely. Now, in fact, I had a question around this also. Okay, in the armed forces, the way we look at it, units are changing, teams are changing, your colleagues are changing, your locations are changing per mission, per
Absolutely.
every time it's changing, right? So how do I mean? So one is the leader who is implementing change or trying to bring in change or bringing some new thing, transformations and improvements, right? From that perspective, as a leader, how do I lead change when there is so much of resistance? And there is no guarantee that the change we are working in is going to be sustainable. Let's say the project itself is 6 months to bring the change or implement the change, but there is no guarantee that it will last for a year or 2 years. There might be something else which will make this entire thing obsolete, right? So how do I lead change as a leader, so that either there is no resistance? I don't think that's practical. Resistance will always be there because there's a statement like, humans resist change, right? So let's say not eliminate, but minimize resistance or deal with resistance and make that change, implement or lead that change effectively. So how should I do it?
You have already talked about human beings resist change.
Which I
Let
don't
us
believe. I don't believe.
let us understand. Resist what? Are they resisting the end objective? Are they resisting the steps of execution?
Okay.
If the end objective is powerful enough, nobody will say no.
Right.
If the end objective has a space for me, I have to see myself in that success.
Right.
Nobody will say no. But the biggest problem is, first tell me the end objective, which is powerful enough.
Again, yes.
Okay. But second thing is, now come to the armed forces. Whatever may be the scenario, the end objective is never, there is no confusion.
Right.
No, you don't have to come and tell me how to achieve that. Because you cannot tell me. I am the fellow standing on the battlefield.
Right.
I am the fellow facing the music.
Right.
And I have to improvise, I have to innovate, I have to do something to achieve the mission.
Right.
Who has the ownership?
I have the ownership. Since I am implementing, I have the ownership.
And who has the freedom to do that?
I have it.
That's it. This is the potent combination.
This is a very powerful combination. So
the freedom to execute and the ownership to execute.
Freedom plus ownership. I think from whatever experience I had in the corporate industry, this is something that is missing. I wouldn't say all the time, but most of the time it is missing.
That is exactly where the role of leader comes into play.
Okay. I understand it now.
For me, according to my understanding, leadership is equal to ownership.
Wow.
There is nothing beyond that. You start behaving like a leader when you take ownership for the end objective.
Okay.
Best example is, if my child is not well, who is accountable for this? Who is responsible for it?
All me.
And whatever it takes, I will do now.
Yes.
Am I going to bloody wait for an approval from somebody?
I don't think so.
Do we approach our work that way?
Not really.
That's the difference. Whose baby is this?
My baby.
That's the actual baby.
Right.
But when I'm talking about work, in workplace, whose baby is this?
Yes, the leadership team, basically, I think.
I don't know. Not mine. It's not mine.
Right, not mine. That's the statement. I know it.
That is the clarity. It's
Right.
not my baby.
That's the clarity. True. But
Now,
good.
when that changes, you see the leader. And it's not existing at all. It's not that situation. It is existing in pockets.
Okay.
You see all the top performers. You definitely see ownership there.
Right.
Okay.
True. That's how they are differentiated, I guess.
But individually taking ownership is very different.
Right.
But taking ownership in spite of not having direct control and execution is very different.
Right.
That's where managers come into play.
Right.
Okay. So from the management, I have got this ownership, was accountability. You have to execute this through your team. How much of this accountability, how much of this ownership am I delegating and passing down to my team member?
Right.
That is the difference between a manager and a leader. That's the evolution.
Exactly. In fact, in the podcast, I've also asked the question that a lot of times I have also seen people, kind of growing into the manager's role and doing the management job for a few years, then taking on the leadership role. And then
Correct.
suddenly they struggle a lot, even though they
Correct.
have been in the company, let's say for 5 to 7 years or 10 years, and they go into a leadership role, they struggle a lot. And I have seen people struggling and then going back to individual contributor IC roles, right? I don't think this is for me, and it's a lot of stress
Correct.
and stuff like that. So what is so different between a manager's job and a leader's job?
See, manager's job is operational,
Right.
getting the job done. Leader's job is inspirational.
Okay. Wow. Operational versus inspirational, huh?
And let me tell you one fundamental thing. You can never be a good leader if you are not a good manager.
So if you don't know how to execute, you are never going to be a leader.
You cannot.
This I've heard before in this podcast.
See, if I cannot shoot myself, I can't expect my subordinate to shoot properly.
Right. But is that true in the tech industry or the IT industry that we are referring to?
Isn't it true? What happened to Apple till Steve Jobs was there? What happened when he left? And what happened when he came back?
Okay.
You have the level of appreciation and involvement to see
Right.
and guide.
Right. Got it. Makes a lot
Today, who is the CEO of most of the companies? In most of the company, who rises to become a CEO? Either head of marketing or head of sales or sometimes CFO. Rarely CFO, most of the times marketing or sales guys.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Correct? That does not. No, the question is, when we segregate this kind of job roles, what is the danger here? The guy who is building the solution is being distanced away from the customer.
Right.
So my connectivity to the customer is going away.
Right. It's true.
And when I am not connected to the customer, how can I feel that empathy? See, there was an experiment done in one of the IT companies. This company was providing solutions to the airlines industry. Same problem which you were talking about. What happens to my lines of code? How is it helping? So there is an exercise where every year these guys go and spend time with the frontline airline staff. Whether it is a ticketing guy, whether it is a boarding guy, whatever. They sit with them. They see how the solution is actually working in the field. They see where these guys are struggling, what challenges are coming.
Right.
And they get the information from them, inputs from them. Yeah, if you can change this in this way, or if you have this additional feature, this can help us a lot. Now, where is that coming from in the normal company?
So do you think, this is an interesting one, and it's coming from another discussion I had a few years back. Do you think it's something like, I have a company, I'm the CEO, Do you think once in a quarter or once in a month or once every fortnight, I should sit with my customer care executives at least for an hour to understand how are they receiving customer calls? What are the complaints about? Do you think that's something that you are advising? Not only customer, I'm just giving an example, not just only customer service, maybe with the frontline workers. That's what would change things a little bit, improve things a little bit.
It's not only me sitting there. It's not about me. Leadership is not about me. It is never about me. I have to get the engineering team to sit there. I have to make the HR team to sit there.
Sit there, right? Okay.
I have to make the operations team to sit there. The actual IT support team, not just the help desk. See, that is when it becomes a mission. That is when I start connecting with the mission. I don't want to do something because CEO told me to do.
Right.
I want to do something because I believe that that's what is required for the customer.
Right.
Now, let us say I'm proposing a new solution or a new improvement list. And if that gets rejected because I don't have a budget by the CFO or whoever that is. Now, whose mistake is that?
The CFO's, because he didn't understand what is the requirement about, or that particular requirement list. How is it stopping me from doing my job or serve my customer the best? Well, he doesn't understand that. That's why.
Now you see where the gaps are.
Okay.
Which department is actually taking the customer, talking to the customer, getting the understanding that, apart from the customer service.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Apart from the customer service. So they are made to sit there to take all the crap.
Right.
Who should be actually taking the crap?
Making a lot of sense now. Making a lot of sense now. Going back to the leader's job, as you said, a manager's job becomes operational and a leader's job is inspirational, right? So when let's say I'm a senior leader in a company and I have a job of creating the culture inside my company, because culture is kind of group behavior, the way we think as a company or as a team, right? And the statement is, in my mind, it's very powerful. May not be true always, but it's very powerful. And most of the time, it's how things are. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. That's kind of true most of the time, right? So if I am moving into a leadership position, how do I create culture? What kind of culture should I create? As you mentioned, there is something that has to be, things are changing all the time. So there has to be innovation in there. And then resources are crunch all the time, right? So we cannot go extravagant on the resources that we are utilizing to build a product or service, because then that cost will be passed on to the customer. So there is a pressure on the businesses to create something that is effective, not only in terms of performance, but in terms of cost as well, right? So how do I create this culture of kind of doing more with less is lean? So how do we create a culture of lean, create a culture of innovation, create a culture of inspiration, create a culture of fun? How do we do all that?
You know the source of the problem? Source of the problem is the 5th standard math, which all of us have studied.
Okay.
And somehow we learned it so well that it never leaves us.
Okay.
The problem is, if one person can dig one pit in one day, how many people it will take to dig 5 pits?
5 people, I think.
Exactly. That's exactly most of the business are managed.
So you're saying nine women cannot come together to deliver a baby in 1 month?
Exactly. The problem is we are not thinking that things can be done differently.
Right.
You talked about cost. Cost is a function of what? My process, not the resources. It's the process.
Okay.
See, I have resource A. Depending on how much time I use that resource, based on my process, the cost gets incurred.
Correct.
Agreed? So that means if I can change my process, can I change my cost?
Yes, you can.
Now, who is the right guy to change the process? The frontline guy.
Exactly, that's right. The leader has to talk to the frontline guy but then that's the disconnect you are talking about again, right?
That's what I'm talking about. See, the problem is the frontline guy is not allowed.
Exactly, they're not allowed.
Because there is no ownership. You're not giving him the ownership. You're not giving him the freedom. And you've got all the money and you've got the control on the process. You've got control on the cost. And then you want magic to happen.
So you are tying it back to ownership and freedom again.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. You leave those two things and you challenge the team to reduce the cost. Then you see innovation happening. Process improvement or innovation
right.
will happen provided we allow it to happen.
Right.
Provided we challenge the team to do that.
Right. Interesting.
See, I was working in one of the jobs. We were running in fact, erstwhile CA Technologies. We were funding a school, primary school. 250 slum students used to come there. Now, we figured out a new location for the school.
Okay.
With a permanent building and all that. Then the immediate question came logistics, because all these kids used to walk and it's nearby the slum area, but suddenly now it's about 10 kilometers. How are the kids going to go there?
Okay. Okay.
So what obvious solution is what? Run your own transport fleet.
Right.
But that's a huge cost. And nobody is paying for it. Only again, company has to pay for it. Then while discussing this issue, we hit upon another thing where we had another bigger school very nearby, a private school. They had their own transport fleet. So we wanted to do a time sharing with them. We will just use a couple of buses. After your kids are dropped, the bus is standing there on the campus.
Right, of course.
Okay, so I will use them. Once the buses become free, I will use 2-3 buses. And I will again use the buses before your kids want to go. So I was ready to shrink my operations. That time.
Right.
Problem got solved with 30% of the cost.
Wow. But then you had the freedom to make that decision, make that choice, right?
Exactly. We had the freedom to go and talk to that other school.
Right.
Okay. The moment you give the freedom to the team to make decisions and take ownership, magic can happen.
I think that answers my first question I started with. How do you build trust as a leader? By giving them freedom and giving them ownership.
By trusting them.
Trusting them. That's the answer.
By trusting them to do the right job.
Right choice. Yes. Trusting them to do the best that they can do. Right. Makes a lot of sense. That answer is answered now. This is answered. I mean, this is kind of the key. I think a lot of leaders should take back. I mean, this is the problem. We know a lot about it. Leaders who are operating the businesses, I don't think they don't know this. The problem is knowledge action gap, knowing doing gap. I don't know why this gap exists, because I think a lot of people know this. A lot of CXOs I talk to, they have clarity around this. They also know that companies like Google, which are sitting on trillions of dollars of cash, billions of dollars of cash, right? Billions of dollars of cash, they have things like 20% employee time. Employees are given freedom to do something that they love to do, your pet project. So, right? From that 20%, there have been so many successful products that have come out in Google, right? So people know about this freedom, not entire freedom. 20% you do what you love to do. That little bit of freedom has created so much. But still, I don't think that is a practice that a lot of companies do. And I strongly believe coming from the innovation background as a coach, that freedom is not there till today. So,
you know why?
Why?
That's the most important question we need to discuss.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
The managers are controlling.
Okay.
But controlling what?
I think all aspects of the employees.
That's the challenge. What should you be controlling as a manager? Should you be controlling my check-in and check-out time? Or should you be controlling my customer satisfaction?
Right.
Or my deliverable?
Mm.
Not even deliverable. Is that thing working or not? That's the only focus I should have.
Okay.
The moment pandemic hit and work from home was announced, 70-80% of the managers were shivering.
I know. I have
Why?
heard them. I have heard them.
Why?
Productivity will go down.
Ha!
No, I know a
Great.
lot of companies who have deployed time monitoring things, apps on the laptops to check whether employees are not working, sleeping, how many hours.
What are you measuring, man?
In fact, that's a pretty
Is that
interesting.
what you are supposed to measure as a manager?
Okay. Okay.
Number one. Number two, Indian IT industry has really risen to the occasion. In fact, while every other industry was able only posting the losses,
Mhm.
IT industry posted profits.
Profit, yes, they did.
Correct?
Yes.
Now, that means what?
That means
that-
you can trust your employees.
Thank you. But in spite of realizing and celebrating that, now everybody is back to business. Everybody, okay.
Back to business, and I think,
Back to office.
no, back to office, and I think still a lot of companies which have, through the pandemic, I have heard a lot of complaint from employees that when the managers will stop having these meetings, when I will finish my work, throughout the day I'm attending meetings with this manager, that manager, this meeting, that meeting. When will I do my work? That's a complaint I've heard from a lot of people during the pandemic.
Because we are worried. We don't know what to control. And we try to control whatever we can measure. And as they say, whatever gets measured
Gets
gets
managed. Yeah.
So if you are measuring login and logout time, that's what you will have.
That will improve a lot.
That's what you will have. But will it lead to productivity?
No guarantee.
Will it lead to innovation?
No
Will
guarantee.
it lead to creativity?
No guarantee.
No, it won't.
What I know.
Because I stop thinking then as an employee. I say, okay, boss, you are telling me what to do. No, you tell me how to innovate.
So ownership is passed back, huh?
That's it.
I don't want to take ownership. I don't know anything.
Why should I take ownership? Because you are not measuring me on my innovation.
Right.
You are not measuring me on my ability to cut down the cost.
Right.
In spite of doing all that, still you are looking at my watch.
Right.
What is that? How many hours you have? This is the fifth standard problem I talked about.
Right. Makes a lot of sense.
Correct? And if you are looking at me, who is the most efficient guy in the company, and a youngster who just joined, and you are measuring both of us on the 8-hour time sheet, thank you.
That's what led to the great resignation, I believe now.
No, it's not about resignation now. Now I have understood the game.
I'll play.
That very hell, you will never improve.
Right.
You are only going to look at my 8 hours. Now it's an open market. Whoever pays me maximum for those 8 hours, I will go there.
Right. Of course. That's what I think is one of the major reasons for this great resignation, right?
Correct. But at the same time, then how many managers are trying to get this ownership, inspire them, do the right things, take that ownership and get the necessary recognition for that.
Right.
Wherever this happens, you will not see attrition.
Right.
Wherever this is not happening, you will see attrition.
So we address the attrition as well, right?
It will.
Yeah, because one of the questions I was thinking to ask is, how do I attract talent and retain talent? So kind of partially answered here, I guess.
That is the only way. You are the only thing a manager, a leader can provide is that space where I can be my best, where I can be the most creative, where my decisions are respected and my mistakes are protected. Otherwise, no innovation.
That's what is happening. That is true. That is happening across the board, apart from a few companies that are in Fortune 500 or top companies, right? So why is that happening? Why managers are so scared? How do we change that? How do we change managers from tracking these things? By somebody who is listening to this, let's say some manager is listening to this, he understood the problem. Now he or she is worried about, what do? I stop monitoring time, because when I create a proposal, right, I have to kind of take into consideration my effort, my time, man hours, man days, and stuff. That is what the calculation is on, right? So what do we do now? Questions like that will keep coming to my mind. What do I base my estimation on? My RFPs on? Based on what? If I don't consider time, I mean, if it's not all the time innovation and it's repetitive work, what do I ask the team? Why should I give time to innovate anything? I mean, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here.
No. It has already been done.
Okay.
There are companies who openly offer to work at X% less,
Okay.
who offer continuously reducing the cost as a value,
Okay.
and who are achieving that through innovation, through technology,
Okay.
through automation.
Okay.
So if you go to the market and say, I will execute this project for you at 50% or 60% of the competitors' cost, but this is the new process. I am not going to stick to your process.
Right.
You don't teach me.
Right.
You don't tell me how many people I should put for, and you will pay me per seat.
Right.
You are going to have, this is your task.
Right.
The scope of the work.
Right.
Let me manage the work.
Right.
Isn't that happening?
It's happening. Definitely.
I'm telling you one of the biggest examples. Who is managing the entire IT infrastructure of Airtel? Complete infrastructure, telecom infrastructure, IBM.
Achha, IBM in terms of software you're talking about.
No, everything. They don't
hardware
touch.
also?
They don't touch.
Okay.
The only thing they own is marketing.
Okay.
How do you execute that contract? Do you have that level of trust in that other person?
Yeah, I don't think
If I have to tell you,
right.
we have to deploy 50 people,
Right.
they have to come from 9 to 5.
Right.
Big deal, no? Then you only manage.
Right. It's your resources, you manage it, right?
That is the difference. That is where what is being transferred now, not the responsibility.
Ownership. Yes. This has been educational to me as well, I guess.
Okay?
Right.
So
yes.
when I challenge you, not about SLAs, not about login times,
Right.
but when I challenge you about my CSAT,
Right.
the story is different. Then you start owning up CSAT, and you start taking ownership, and you start innovating, you start understanding, you start doing whatever it takes to take care of that.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
But most of our contracts are written with operational objectives.
Yes. Yes. So
because that damn thing is easy to measure.
Yes.
Easy to bill for.
Easy to bill for. Yes.
Correct. But is that what customer is paying for?
I don't think so.
Exactly. In fact, this has been one of the bone of contentions in my discussions with my managers and wherever I go. Are you willing to change the way you write your contract? Can you write outcome-based contract than output-based contract?
So I don't think, what is the answer you get? Because I don't think the answer is very positive.
That is the power of that thinking. The moment you start discussing outcome-based contract, you have beaten your competition to pulp.
Right.
Because this is a mindset shift. It's a culture change.
Yes, it is.
And it takes a lot of trust.
Trust in what? In my abilities and my team's abilities alone, right?
Who is going to finally tell me if your customer is happy or not? You will tell me, na? So if you want to cheat me, you can always say, no, my customer is not happy. So can I trust you with that judgment? Or should I build a joint mechanism working with you to how to transparently measure that outcome? Why can't I do that? I can do that, right?
Yes.
And when I do that, and when I write the contracts or when I execute my contract in line with that, where is the problem?
I don't see what should be a problem.
I have done that. See, I'm not telling you theory.
Right.
When I got into consulting contracts, I wrote such contracts.
Okay. Outcome-based
Outcome
contracts.
based. Outcome based. Yeah. Don't pay me. You pay me only the basic maintenance, whatever, small amount, but the real money is attached to the result.
Right.
So let's work on that.
So instead of writing contracts that control how the execution happens, the contract should be focused on the outcome, and it should be collaborative with the customer.
Obviously.
Okay.
Because if the measure is different, then there is a difference of opinion.
Right. And when you start measuring outcome, I think the way we create those outcomes could definitely change.
It has to change.
Has to change.
And
Yes.
who will take the ownership of change?
Again, I have to take it.
I take who the execution, the person who executes.
If I am executing the project, I have to take it.
I take it.
Right.
Because it's in my own benefit.
Right.
That's what I have signed up for. Okay.
The profitability is totally an outcome of my performance and my problem solving abilities.
That's it.
So how is this getting adapted? You are saying you have been doing it and advising it. Do you think this is getting adapted, or you still get a lot of resistance when you mention this?
This to be adopted, it can only be adopted from the top.
Mostly, yes.
Okay, because the middle managers where usually I talk
Right.
will not have the latitude, same. Freedom to take decision and ownership are missing.
But then why don't you, I mean, if you present it to CXOs, they should be open to it.
Do you think so?
If I talk about my...
There is the gap. If I talk to a CXO, first of all, he has to believe in his mission.
Right.
There is no mission, first of all.
Right. Okay.
See, it's a we don't have to use too many concepts. Very limited number of concepts are required.
Right.
And if the correlation of them is understood clearly,
Right.
and they become a well-knit, well-connected system, that's it. Rest, everything will happen around it.
Yeah, you have made leadership much easier, much simpler is what I'm feeling now.
It's actually simpler.
It is simpler. We only make it complex.
Yes.
Because of our insecurities, because of our lack of trust, as we discussed, whatever reasons, yes, we make it complex. Agreed?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
And another big confusion about leadership is that it is usually attached to a position. The higher you are, the bigger leader you are. If I am a junior most employee, I don't have to be a leader. I can't be a leader.
yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a myth. That's what people believe in.
It is
It's
a myth.
flawed, but people believe in that flaw. It's a myth.
The question is, unless I realize that it's a myth, I will never encourage the junior fellow to behave like a leader.
Never.
The moment that fellow starts behaving like a leader, what is the first reaction?
That's not what you are supposed to do.
Why?
Because you are paid to do something else.
No. Because I started feeling threatened.
Insecurity, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yes, insecurity.
That is the story.
No, but then if you look at reality, this is problem created in our minds. The insecurity is a problem, right? But if you look at reality, if I have to actually grow from 20-member team to 200-member to 2,000-member team, or kind of go into the CXO role, actually what I have to do is what my 20-member team is doing, however I'm managing them as a manager today, or senior manager or group manager today, I have to find my successor. I have to mentor the guy who can do my job instead of being insecure, I should develop those 2-3 people who can take care of what is happening in the 20 people, so that I can go and think about the 200, right? So I have to create leaders. So actually, that's how it works. But on reality, people are struggling with the insecurities and they don't want people below to come and take their job. So why? Why?
People have asked me this question at the end of the training session.
Right.
Sridhar, you are talking about empowering and leadership and ownership to my team. If they start doing everything, what will I do?
Okay. Okay.
Seriously, and genuine concern. I appreciated that question.
Because they believe it's a threat to them.
They are not seeing the opportunity.
That's what.
Today, these guys are spending so much money controlling these people, so much time controlling the people. The moment the team takes ownership, their time becomes free.
Yes.
Then they can go to their boss and start pulling his work to him.
Yes.
Get trained on the job to become
into
the groom into the next role.
Yes.
That is not happening today.
No.
That is why there is a gap between the manager and the leader. What training do you do for a manager?
Yeah. I guess that's what it is.
That is the challenge.
No, it's true. It's true. You're right. Okay.
That is the challenge. So, in fact, there is a beautiful adage in management. If you are indispensable,
right,
you can't be promoted.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Of course, if I'm indispensable.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So, that means you have to make yourself redundant.
Right.
To be promoted.
Right.
And how do you make yourself redundant? By grooming the next level.
Next level, right?
Are we doing that?
That begs a question. When we talk about manager to leader again, is it just mentoring, or is it just the training missing, or is it just the lack of opportunities and awareness? What's the gap? Why the gap?
There is no depth of opportunities, first of all.
So I can take up my manager's job and tell you, boss, I'm helping you go to the next level, right?
Not only that, are you telling me you don't have any opportunity to improve in your current job?
That's never true. I always have an opportunity to improve myself.
Correct.
Right?
Who is stopping you?
Nobody. Myself.
Thank you.
I am stopping. Yes.
So, out of the three things you talked about, opportunity, there is no depth of opportunity.
Okay.
Then comes a training and mentoring. Okay. Training cannot make you a leader. Because training can only impart skill. Leadership is not about skill. It's about behavior.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Behavior can come only with mentoring, some level of belief,
right, self-belief,
some amount of conviction, values. This is the stuff which will work at the leadership level.
Lot of self-awareness. If I package that, it's a lot of self-awareness.
It is only self-awareness. There's nothing lot also. Correct. Because it is research has also proven that leadership, the major component of leadership is EI, emotional intelligence.
Right.
Which starts with self-awareness and then the crowd awareness, societal awareness.
Right.
Okay. So it is all about that awareness. It is not a rocket science to decide what is the right thing to be done.
Right.
But do I have that necessary awareness to reach to that decision?
Right. Now we said leadership is ownership. And leadership is also about being self-aware or emotional intelligence.
Correct.
And if I have to borrow a line from Maxwell, then it is leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less.
Correct.
What actually is leadership? Is it just a mindset that I have to have and it's my behavior, or anything else? Influence, ownership. How do you summarize that for me?
You never get influenced by a person.
Okay.
This is another myth.
Okay.
You always get influenced by the mission, the end goal. The whole country followed all our freedom fighters, not because of their charisma.
Okay.
They followed that idea of
Free India, independent
free
India.
India. So, in that scenario, anybody who talked about free India, anybody who came forward and stood in front of the crowd, faced the lathis, faced the abuse of and faced the jail terms, they automatically became leaders. What happened there? A demonstrated ownership. I am willing to walk the path. I am not behind you and pushing you in front. I am walking. You decide you want to follow this or not. And if you believe in the mission, if you believe in that end objective, you will follow. You will also pick and choose whom to follow.
Right. This is pretty powerful. It's not that people influence you, it's the end result or the end goal that influences you.
Look at anybody. So you are talking about a salesman has influenced me to buy this gadget, which is not working.
Forget about salesman. An advertisement has influenced me to,
Now, is it really the advertisement? Is it really Shah Rukh Khan or somebody else or any other person who is influencing you? Or is it the benefit which you want to gain?
me using that particular product and how it is. Yeah, that's,
Correct.
I create that in my mind. Yes.
Exactly. It is the intended benefit which makes you follow somebody.
Right.
It is the intended benefit of entertainment and excitement which makes me follow a star
Right.
or a particular game, whatever that is.
Right. So basically, this is the starting point again. If I have to influence my followers in helping me achieve a vision that I have for a company, right? Then I have to just influence them with the end goal or that vision itself. Then
No,
then
you can't do that.
Then how?
First of all, you have to be influenced.
Since
Are you committed to that vision? Are you committed to the mission?
Yes.
Are you willing to do whatever it takes?
Right.
And are you doing that?
Yeah. So basically,
See, when you see a person committed to that extent that when he is really doing anything and everything to make that mission a reality, make that vision a reality, no need for communication.
Right.
And second important thing is this path, is this journey to success includes my success as well?
Of course, if it does, yes,
Is
it
it
does.
guaranteed? No.
Guarantee is not there. But, got it.
But when you get the guarantee, or at least a reasonable level of confidence, then you start following.
Right.
And you're not following the individual, you're following the mission.
Mission. Yes.
You're following the objective.
Right. But that makes a lot of sense, because even if somehow the leader is now removed and I still believe, or as a team, we still believe in the mission, we'll still continue to go towards
You don't need a leader anymore.
You don't need the leader anymore. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Right. So many leaders were gone in our independence, fight of independence, but the journey towards independent India never stopped.
Absolutely.
Right.
Classic example.
So again, going back to your statement of make yourself dispensable as a leader, and things will continue as long as you have created that clarity around the mission, right? And the vision.
True mark of a leader is he does not get even a single phone call when he is on vacation.
Right. This will give nightmares to CXOs, man.
How many of us can even reach a bloody airport without getting a call?
That's what I'm saying. This is going to give nightmares to CXOs.
That immediately tells you what? That is the level of ownership. Can you tell your team, even if there is a bloody crisis, manage it? You don't have to call me. I'll come back and figure out if there's something needs to be done.
If I'm telling that as a boss, as a leader of the company, that shows how much of trust I have in my team.
Correct?
Right? They can handle it.
There is no point in telling you every day that I trust you guys, I trust you guys.
Right?
Can I leave it to
Behavior.
you?
Yeah, it's my behavior and my decisions. That's how.
Correct? Again, we are coming back to what? Ownership?
Ownership and freedom.
That's it.
Okay. Two keywords coming out as bombs from this discussion: ownership and freedom. Okay, that's what we have to give to your team members to build trust, to create productive, make them productive, achieve your mission, achieve your vision, create a culture of bonding and camaraderie. Everything will come in place if you have these two things.
Thing will come.
Wow, you're making it much simpler for everyone. But that's my question. If it is that simpler, why isn't it happening? And if I have to mentor someone today, let's say I'm a CXO and I have to mentor, or I'm an advisor like you, right? And I have to mentor a manager to becoming a leader. So what should I teach him? What should I ask him to do? Boss, first do this, then do this, and then probably we can think of leadership. What should I tell him?
I don't have to tell him. I have to encourage him to behave that way.
Okay. Okay.
Do you believe in the mission of the company?
Right.
Okay, first of all.
Right.
Number one.
Right.
What is the extent to which you are going to do to achieve that vision?
Right.
Correct? This is the first thing. Unless until I am inspired myself, I can't inspire others.
Right. But is that always true?
It is always true.
Okay. Because a lot of times leaders
An
complain.
inspired person, an inspired person, even if he has lower competency to start with, he will go ahead and build that competency.
Right.
What will force you to learn new things?
Inspiration. I understand that. That is true.
That's it. It's nothing. So even initially there is a gap in competency, it's only temporary. Because I'm already inspired to achieve that, I will ensure that the competency is being built.
As you said, I'll do whatever I can to achieve that. I can go
Correct.
to any extent to achieve that vision and mission. True.
The moment my team sees me learning, do they have an excuse?
I don't think so.
Correct? And what is the extent to which I am dependent on them? Apart from hands and legs and all that,
Right.
can I pitch in and fix that particular problem if required?
Right.
See, you talked about managers are being promoted and all that. There are a lot of companies now who are insisting on technical managers.
Right.
That means I just don't want a people manager.
Right.
I want you to be competent enough to actually fix the problem if it requires.
Right. Get your hands
guide the
dirty.
team to
If
think.
the need be, you should be ready to get your hands dirty.
Correct. Why? That's exactly why.
Hmm.
Otherwise, there are so many project management manager jokes. I don't know what that fellow does.
I know.
Only that confusion.
Right.
However, that confusion is also happening because I really don't know what that fellow does. I don't know how much heat he is taking from the customer, how much heat he takes from the management, and all that nonsense I am immune to. I don't know.
Right.
That is so we have isolated and we have created these silos where trust is too far. There is not even transparency.
True. True that.
Without transparency, where is the trust?
Not possible.
Correct? And how will you get transparency? What is the best way to make something transparent to you?
My thought would be to be authentic. Tell it as it is. Then,
you will not believe me.
if I don't trust you, then I'll never believe you. That's given.
What is the best way to bring transparency? That's the question. When I make you do that,
Okay.
Instead of me taking the customer call, I say today you are going to take the customer call.
Okay. So you're saying learn by doing it, experience
Will
and
there
learn.
be any more confusion about what I am doing?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's it. But we do that. Do we do that? Do our managers do that? No. No. What will I do?
No, it's
My
secret.
job is threatened if you start taking customer calls.
Yeah, customer calls are secret information. Money is discussed there. You are not supposed to be listening to all that. What?
And then you expect transparency, then you expect ownership, then you expect freedom to decide. We want innovation also, commitment also.
Right.
All the laundry list is there in front of you.
Transparency. Everybody talks about transparency, man. Everybody wants transparency. But are
But
they ready to do what needs to create a culture of transparency? Is, I think,
are you willing to be transparent?
that's what I'm not really.
That's it.
Conditional. Conditionally, I can be transparent.
Not even conditional. There is no confusion.
What do you think? Having now a lot of companies are trying to learn from the, let's say, inspirations from the West, that we should have mentors, we should have coaches, in-house coaches, and we should have all that culture of learning we should create. So what do you think? Mentors can solve these problems if CXOs and founders and CEOs, they started working with mentors on leadership. Do you think this is going to improve things?
Great question. Can a mirror make you beautiful?
I don't think so.
But can you become beautiful without mirror?
If I believe so, yes.
No, you can't.
Then how?
So mirror has a role to play, but ownership to look good has to be yours.
Okay, I got your message now. Got it.
Okay, so mirror will do its job.
Right. But the ownership is with you to become beautiful.
With you.
Right.
A
Wow.
mentor will hold a mirror.
Right.
A mentor will show you where you could improve.
Right.
But would you take that? Because I have run this program where I have trained more than multiple batches we did. Yeah, about 150 middle managers.
Okay.
Initially, we did a 5-day training, followed by 12 weeks of mentoring.
Okay.
Every week, I was having one-on-one with them,
Got it.
deciding an action plan, how you are proceeding. 25% of the people were really able to use that opportunity
Okay.
and really transformed themselves
Okay.
in terms of their way to manage time, in terms of delegation, in terms of passing the ownership, the typical leadership behaviors which we talk about.
Right.
Okay. Because they were committed to the program. They were committed to themselves,
And
not
so
so much.
yes.
That is what.
But why 25%?
What is leadership? Ownership.
Acha, again, going to the same thing, right? I have to take ownership
Do
of my
you
improvement,
own?
my learning, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Do you own your own improvement? Or is it a baby of HR and L&D or manager or blah, blah, blah?
I think so.
That's it.
I think so. They are responsible for my learning and development, no?
Correct. They are responsible for creating avenues for you.
Right.
Okay. But
Avenues.
you are responsible to take ownership. Now, if you have taken ownership, you will not wait for them to create avenues for you.
Absolutely. That statement I have already made a couple of times. I've heard a couple of times. If you take ownership, then you don't wait for opportunities to happen. You don't wait for the avenues to come up.
Exactly.
You need your own opportunity. That's true. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Giving recognition and rewards and recognition. So what role does that play in the corporate today? As for your view, how important it is to identify somebody's contribution and what can we take away from there and implement in the corporate world today?
Who is the first customer or a first beneficiary when you do a great job?
When I do a great job,
Hmm.
I think I should be the first beneficiary.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm right. Okay.
That's it. When you start finding joy, when you start finding fulfillment in the work you do you need any external reward, recognition, blah blah blah?
I don't think so.
To start with,
I don't know.
if you're already happy, how can I make you happier?
Right.
You're already thrilled.
But employees will ask questions. My manager is not making me happy. They're making me miserable.
Because where is the gap?
Okay. Again, I'll go back to the two words, so ownership and
That's
freedom.
all.
Right.
That's all. That is why leadership is easy. If we understand the fundamentals.
Yeah, that's what I
And
think.
when you come to armed forces,
Ah,
every day I'm living the mission.
right.
Whatever I do, I'm living the mission. And in middle of all that, I still find ways to have fun.
Have fun. Right.
Correct?
Right.
The idea of fun will be very different.
Different. Yes, yes, yes.
The idea of fun will be very different.
Different. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it is fun.
Right.
That's the way it is. And the majority of my satisfaction is coming from where?
From my work, my contribution, I think.
Even if I don't do anything on a single day,
Mm-hmm.
nothing. I just go to office and that day just push some files or something, I come back.
Mm.
But I'm still satisfied. I was still satisfied when I was in Air Force because the satisfaction starts the moment I wear my uniform.
Right.
I used to feel that till that uniform comes on, I was different.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you put that on, I was different. This switch flips. That is the magic. Can we create that magic in corporate the moment I put my ID card around my neck? When that is done, every organization will run as efficient as a forge, as a military.
I think so, because if I put that ID card and it reminds me why I am involved in this particular job or why I'm doing this, then I'll be charged as I should be, right?
Now, this again comes to address one more fundamental debate which keeps on happening. Are leaders born or made?
Made, right?
What do you think so now?
I think they're made.
Absolutely.
I think they're made.
Absolutely.
You give them enough freedom and enough ownership to learn their job, to do their mistakes, to learn from their mistakes, and to have fun and to deliver the customers, do their job at the best they can do. They'll start enjoying it. They'll start experiencing. Once that experience is there, it kind of makes a lot of sense. Yes.
They become inspired, and because they are already inspired, others will start getting inspired from them.
Yes.
Automatically, they become leaders.
I think my questions are done. I got answer to all my questions: ownership, leaders, ownership, and freedom. It has been. I have been doing this, and I know a lot of stuff. But this discussion has taught me a few things. And I always say leadership, life, success. It's all very simple as long as you know the rules of the game. You know the fundamentals, as we say, right? But yeah, I think there are a few things that I had to learn on leadership today. So thank you for educating me and enlightening my awareness around leadership. Thank you for all the insights you shared, Sridhar. I mean, it has been phenomenal. I think anybody who is looking to become a better leader, as we say, somebody who is interested in taking ownership of their own growth and own transformation into becoming a more impactful, more influential, and more inspirational leader, and they want to invest an hour or so on this, I think they are going to get a lot of value out of this discussion. So thanks for creating that value with me here.
My pleasure. It's been a great discussion. Thanks for creating this space and opportunity.
Yes. Sure. Thank you, Sridhar.
Hello, guys, and welcome back. how do you summarize that discussion? Well, I believe as a coach, my job and the job of all the coaches is to simplify things. For example, making success simple. Similarly, making communication simple is the job of a communication coach. Making entrepreneurship simple, not complex, is the job of entrepreneurship coach, right? So if the job of a coach is to make things simple, Sridhar has made leadership simple. Just two words: ownership and freedom. I hope this was truly valuable for you and worth your time. I'll see you next Sunday again with another guest and another fantastic, mind-boggling and mind-opening episode of the podcast. Till then, take care and be limitless.